Hello out there. This is Sharon Fox with Arts in Action. Today our guest artist, or I should say book writer, is Charles Chatmon. Charles, it's wonderful to have you here today. I appreciate you coming. Could you sort of explain to me what a mobile bookstore is?
Well, a mobile bookstore is a concept that I've learned from two friends of mine who own the actual independent bookstores in Southern California. And what it is that it works as an actual bookstore, but it's mobile, which means you can take it any place, to any trade show, you can take it to any large event and set up books there. And what we do with the mobile bookstore is that we have different books. We put them on carts and we just have people browse, buy, and see what books they like to choose. So it just operates the same as a normal bookstore.
What gave you the idea of doing this versus starting your own bookstore?
Well, when I first moved from Los Angeles out here to Vallejo, I decided I wanted to try to have this mobile bookstore first before I opened an actual bookstore, and kind of get a sense of what the people of Vallejo wanted as far as books. So with the help of the art department, we set up a mobile bookstore in front of the farmers market every Saturday, and so far the results have been pretty good.
Now you're set up in front of the farmers market, so you're right on the corner. Where are you located exactly?
We're located on the corner of Georgia and Marin. That's on Saturdays, certain Saturdays from 9 to about 1 o'clock, and we have pretty much all types of titles there.
That's wonderful. Also, what I'm interested in is the fact that your books are reasonable. I mean, no matter who I am in Vallejo, I can afford to buy your books. Give me an idea of the price ranges on your books.
Well, because it is the farmers market, we try to set our prices pretty decent, and we don't want to overburden. When I first started this mobile bookstore in the old Artist Square, I had them at half price from the regular retail price, and that was okay, but it really didn't generate enough sales at first. And really, I had to play around with the prices. Sometimes I'll have a $1 sale. Sometimes I would have charge them $7 a book. But eventually I settled on $3 for hardbacks and covers, or hardbacks and paperbacks, excuse me, and $1.50 for children's books and regular large type books, which are cookbooks, and then 25 cents for pocketbooks, just so the people of Vallejo in the farmers market can have a range and kind of choose what they want.
And that's very, very reasonable. Now, what types of books do you sell? You sell children's books, you sell cookbooks, you sell novels, you sell all sorts of books, right?
Right. We sell all types of books, from fiction to nonfiction, mystery, suspense, biography. We have sports in the pocketbook, science fiction, all types of books.
You name it, you have it.
Yes, we name, you have it.
Okay, and I noticed you mentioned to me earlier that this is a very popular artist. People ask for this particular writer.
Yes, James Patterson is a best-selling author. He's appeared on New York Times bestseller list for many years, and he is probably the #1 most requested author when people approach the bookstore.
Down at Farmers Market.
Right, they want to see Mr. Patterson's work. So I remember recently, I had 5 or 6 copies of his titles, recent books that he wrote, and they were gone just like that.
Wow. So are there any other artists that seem to be really popular?
John Grisham is pretty popular. If you remember A Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson, the movie was based on Mr. Grisham's book, and we have copies of his titles there. Nora Roberts is very popular.
Okay.
She's a famous author herself. Patricia Cornwell, we had her before, and she sold quite well. Fern Michaels.
So how do you get all these books, though?
Well,
how do you acquire all of these books?
Well, I do, with the help of my wife, Chandra. We just go out to different places, such as book sales. If the library is having a book sale, we go there. Garage sales sometimes, and we started this when people started approaching me with this idea of donations. Most of our books now have been through donations from people in Vallejo and all around the North Bay.
That's wonderful, because people are getting to know you.
Right.
Because they see you continually down there.
You're right.
There is a future in books, and maybe in a different form,
Right.
actually.
Right.
But, and it's nice to know that you're involved in teaching in LA, right?
Right.
And then you're doing, what else are you doing down in LA? And you mentioned something else.
I have a book expo which caters to the African American audience, which authors and publishers and even different types of book industry professionals. And I'm in charge of that. And I started out as an exhibitor 5 years ago or 6 years ago. And then 4 years ago, the founder of the event asked me to run it. So I've been doing it ever since.
That's wonderful. So are you involved in any other events going on here, Vallejo, LA, wherever?
Well, the Vallejo waterfront artists, they set up at the waterfront, and we just started this past May. And they're just a great group of people to be around. They sell jewelry, they sell artwork, ceramics, you name it.
So they're all very creative. I know sometimes people feel that an artist is not a writer, but that's not true. A writer is an artist. A chef can be an artist. Anybody who's creative can be an artist, right?
Right.
You know?
Oh yeah, they can be an artist. It doesn't matter. As long as they can create their own work, they can have it on display on the waterfront.
Exactly. So your plans for the future are, depending on the computerized items, is to basically have your own bookstore if possible.
Right. Yeah, we just want to make sure that we're here. Like I said, we're here in Vallejo for the long run, but we want to have the bases covered. We'd like to have the online bookstore operational, and as well as the mobile bookstore. And again, we hope to have our own bookstore somewhere in Vallejo in the future, right?
Okay, give us your telephone number. How do we contact you?
The people can call me at 707 area code 235-6520.
Okay, and do you have a web address?
chatsbooks@gmail.com.
Okay, and if they want to come down and see you, where would they go?
They can see me at the farmers market on certain Saturdays. They got to email me for that. Saturdays from 9 to 1 o'clock, and Sundays, usually I'm with the Vallejo waterfront artists at the waterfront from 9:30 to 3:30.
Okay, so another question. I want to come down and see you, but are you spending more time at the waterfront now, or equal amount of time?
It's equal amount of time.
Oh, okay. So I imagine, because the waterfront is specially created for people who do their own books or whatever. Are you selling a lot of your books and your wife's books?
Yes, I'm selling The Voices of South Central, and I'm also selling Shades of Retribution from Chandra.
Now, I think you had 2 books.
I did.
I remember 2 books.
You remember 2? Yes, I do have 2. The Voices of South Central is my second book. My first book is called The Depths of My Soul, and that is a book of poetry, along with The Voices of South Central, which is also a book of poems.
Wonderful. Another thing, when did you start writing? How old were you when you started writing?
I started writing when I was 7th grade, and that's a long
time. So you were a child.
Yes.
What kind of writing did you do then?
I wrote short stories, poems, you name it. Just anything that came from me, I just wrote it out.
So you love writing. And I understand you have a degree from where?
Cal State LA.
Okay, and it's in?
English.
In English, okay. I sort of thought it might be in English.
Yeah.
That's great, you know. It's so nice to meet a young man who's so dedicated and works so hard. I've seen him at the farmer's market unload his car, trying to get everything out of his car, just to set up his books shop down there, right?
Yeah.
And lugging around everything. You know, I mean, it's wonderful to see you doing these things.
Rain.
It gives me faith in the youth of our city, because you're just so full of energy. You're such a happy, lively young man.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how old you are, but I know you're younger than I am, okay?
Yeah.
And I won't ask you how old, okay?
Okay.
So that's great. Besides poetry, what is your favorite thing to write?
Usually I write articles. I was a freelance writer for LA. I wrote a couple columns for a community newspaper.
Okay.
And I'm also presently at work in my novel, which is a novel of a adventure crime story, something along that line.
I love that, because his wife's writing mysteries, right?
Right.
And so you're going to go into writing mysteries too.
Yeah.
And do they both have the same feeling, like yours is going to be around the North Bay area, around San Francisco North Bay, and hers are around North Bay in San Francisco.
Yeah, the novella that I've just finished, that's based in San Francisco. The novel that I'm writing now is more based in LA because I started this one's in college.
Oh, okay, okay. So you've got two.
One's a series of novellas that I'm planning to publish next year, and one is a novel that I'm planning to release a year after that.
Now, what if a big bookstore decides to give you a fantastic check just to do writing? Would you give up what you're doing now to do the writing part?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay, okay. I just wanted to make sure because, you know, that could happen, right?
It could happen, but I just love what I'm doing right now. So.
Okay, because you feel like you're contributing to the community and you're doing something for the community, which is good. And we need that nowadays. We need people who care about the community, who really want to work hard in the community. And we all appreciate that. And as I said, I appreciate you watching you unload your car, you know, then have to reload his car up when he goes home. Now, what I was also wondering, besides doing your writing, how do you support yourself other than that? I know this is sort of personal, but, you know.
Oh, it's not personal. I do proofreading work.
Okay.
I used to do that when I was in LA when I was working for a biomedical company.
Okay.
I did proofreading for the company, and now I do freelance proofreading work.
Wonderful. So that supplements your income.
It does.
And then your wife works in San Francisco.
She works in San Francisco. Don't want to say the company.
Okay, we're not going to mention the company.
Yeah.
But what's her title?
Her title is a demand planner.
Okay. But we can't mention the company.
You cannot mention the company.
Okay.
I will be killed.
We don't want him to be killed. He's a very nice man. So between the two of you, you've got the income coming in, and your job is good because you can concentrate on doing your job, and it doesn't really interfere with what you're doing with the mobile bookstore or with your writing, correct?
Right.
So when does your wife have time to write?
She writes whenever she has the time to do that. And she's presently working on her second novel, which is a sequel to Shades of Retribution right now.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good to know young people nowadays who are so involved in something that's really important. I consider writing a very important thing. I consider contributing to the community is wonderful, which, you know, you're both doing. So we're looking forward to a bookstore in the future. Give me an idea of your far off plans. Are you, in the next 5 years, what are you sort of thinking of?
Well, for Vallejo, not only the bookstore, but we like to have a in the farmers market, we like to have some writing workshop sometime in Vallejo. And when I first,
Erotic?
No.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
You're thinking nasty, Sharon.
I'm sorry.
A writer's workshop.
Oh, a writer, okay.
With some erotic, and you can never know.
Okay.
But also too, when I first approached you about 2 years ago, I mentioned about a book fair here in Vallejo, and that's something I still would like to do. I like to have a book fair in Vallejo. I know it's probably an impossible idea, but I think it will bring the community together. And I did some research on Baltimore, and Baltimore Book Festival, they drew a lot of interest, and it really helped the community as far as literary, and now it helped us businesses around the city and everything else. So I think we brought something like here in Vallejo.
It would be a good idea.
It would be a positive image for Vallejo. Right now, Vallejo needs something really literary.
And I think that's a great idea because a lot of people think that we're not very bright here in Vallejo. And if we have a book fair, that will show them that we're really involved in literature,
Yes.
in learning, in reading, in writing. I think that'd be, where would you hold it, down on Marin Street or?
We hold the waterfront.
The waterfront. Oh, okay. That would be a great idea. I think that's a good plan. I really do.
Thank you.
And that will give us a little better status in the surrounding communities.
Sure.
They'll know that we have quite a few intellectuals here in Vallejo, right?
Right.
You know, and I know there are other writers here in Vallejo. Are you familiar with any of the writers in Vallejo?
I have not met any of the writers. I've seen them once before in a program at the JFK Library, but I hadn't a chance to meet them personally. Even though I do know Evelyn Hart, she's a very great person to know, and a gentleman named Van Waller. These are the only two people in North Bay who are writers that I know of so far.
Evelyn Hart, isn't she involved in an organization too?
Yes, for a child's heart.
For a Child's
Yes.
Heart. And she's a writer.
Yes, she is.
Oh, okay. And who's the other author that you know?
Van Waller, and besides Chandra, but Van Waller is also another author who was part of the JFK Library event 2 years ago.
Okay.
That I had a chance to meet.
Okay. And have you ever put on an event yourself at the library?
No, not yet. We had one event in Emeryville where we all met together, but it's something we like to do here in Vallejo. And it's something that's not out of the way. We still like to plan it, except after my book expo ends in August, there's something I would like to do here in Vallejo.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fantastic idea. And I know they're time consuming, so you have to plan a year or so in advance just to get things set up. Would you invite different writers to come, or how would you have a fair? What form would it take?
Well, the format is based on all the other book events I've been a part of or helped coordinate, in which we invite authors from all over. We would have them sell their books. We have them speak about certain topics in the publishing world, writing business. We would have poets recite their poetry. Everybody who's involved in writing, who has something to offer, we would love to give them an opportunity.
Rappers?
Well, yeah.
Well, actually, that sounds funny, but it's really not, because rappers are a new form of poetry in a way.
Right, spoken word.
We can't just say we're not going to use rappers, because that's the new type of poetry.
Right, I would never exclude them. No, I think anyone who knows me knows I'm very open to.
Oh, I know
anybody.
you are. I'm just teasing you.
Okay,
good. I know you're very open-minded. What other things would you have so people would bring their artwork? In fact, when I was down at the not the farmers market, down at the Artists on the Waterfront, there was a young man, I think, that you met too, that was down there, whose family had died in a fire. Right. Whose child had died in a fire. Yes. And it was really sad, and he did a rap on that. And it was really quite, when you think about it, it was a good rap. It was a sad rap, but it was a good rap. Right. And at my age, 71, I'm beginning to appreciate rap. It's taken me a while, but I'm getting there, okay? Right, okay. Can I mention, Sharon, too, that on the second and fourth Thursdays at Panama Red, that's where I was talking to this gentleman about, a gentleman named Prophet has a poetry show inside that coffee house. And I was talking to this gentleman we talked about, we just discussed. Oh, yeah, he recited his rap there. So it's a good way to get the people to express themselves, express how they're feeling. Yeah, they also feel involved. Oh, okay, okay. Now, do you know of any other people here in the community who are involved in rap or just in poetry itself? It's probably a fairly large community. I did, of course, through two people that used to be in Vallejo, Nelson Martini and Julie Anderson. Oh, yes, I remember them. They were wonderful. Yeah, they were wonderful. Yeah, and the husband was the one that did the poetry. Or did they both do poetry? They did a little comedy. They actually did comedy. They did comedy. But they knew rappers. I didn't met those rappers, but I knew them. Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's tell our audience again, in case they want to get a hold of you, how do they reach you? Telephone number, all your information. And Paul Armartano will get mad if I don't mention his name. He's another author. Oh, okay. My number is 707-235-6520. My email is chatsbooks@gmail.com. And you can find me at my website, charleslchatmon.com. Okay. Now, what's the easiest way to reach you? Is it by email or? You can reach me by email. Or because telephone is sort of hard because you're in and out, aren't you? But they can still reach my phone. Oh, okay. Okay, so your phone is open when people call, which is great. And if people want to come down and find books, just regular books, they would go where again? They should go to the farmers market on Saturdays from 9 to 1. And for my own books, they should go to the Vallejo Waterfront Artists when we set up at the waterfront Saturdays and Sundays from 9:30 to 3:30. All right. Anyway, we want to thank you again for being here with us today and talking about your books, talking about writing in general. And you know, we really look forward to having you back on the show again, especially when you become super famous. We want you back here as a famous author, and we hope you'll come back again. So take care. We look forward to talking with you again. Thank you very much for being here today.